So in segment 3, we're going to talk about the impacts of this so-called silent depression. So I'll give you guys a quick stat. According to Food Banks Canada in 2022, they had their most busy year ever. And in 2023, they expect this year to have a 60% increase in foot traffic within food banks here in Canada.
But doesn't the need just grow despite economically? Like the need will grow as we have
60%?
more people. Well, we've also let in, by 2025, we would have let in 1.5 million immigrants into the country. Whether that's good or bad, we're not talking about that. I'm just saying is we're letting in more people will need that support naturally.
Yeah.
So why is it a tell on, the silent depression and where everybody's depressed, nobody has any money? I don't know.
But life is clearly more expensive now than it was last year and the year before. So clearly there are people from the middle class, for example, who are now perhaps going to food banks. A 60% increase is a huge increase.
Could be valid. Yeah. I mean,
no.
Anthony? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't speak to it because I've never been there before. I think I don't know if anybody has been on the panel. If you have and you've overcome it, that's awesome. All I know are the stats that I read. They're very scary stats. And I think it is a fallout of just the times we're living in. And like, you can get into a whole debate on whether or not you agree with what happened in the last 3 years. It happened, it's undeniable, and now it's time to forge a plan to move forward, get people out of food banks, and get things back on track. And I think that that's really the conversation for the people in charge.
One thing we're also seeing are food costs. Obviously, this is a big topic right now, right? So the average family of 4 is going to spend this year $16,000 to feed their families, and that's up by 27% from last year. So that's a huge impact.
Well, I
right?
mean, when taxes go up on corporations, for something called a carbon tax, then yeah, I think you have to raise your prices a little bit, and then that just comes down to the end consumer having to pay for it. So I would make the argument that it necessarily isn't just, I understand what you're saying where, okay, in the last 3 years, what happened. I'm all for that. It is what it is. That's a dangerous mentality to have because it means you can continue to push forward as a person. But what I will say is, what happened, and now we're hurting people more and more, making food unaffordable. Like, when were 2 avocados supposed to cost $4?
When was the demand in grocery stores this high, though? That's something that's indisputable. More people shop and buy groceries than they do go out for dinner, and that's a fact now in this economy. So more people have the mentality of stay home, don't spend your money at a restaurant. $100 at a restaurant means 2 or 3 meals at home. Well, now 2 or 3 meals at home. It used to be like 4 or 5. But more demand at the grocery store, more demand on supply.
So do we need more supply?
So what? No. So what I'm saying is more demand at the grocery store is more demand on supply chain, which means if we have 100 corn on the cobs and 150 people need the corn on the cobs, what do you think is going to happen?
It's going to cost more.
What's going to cost more money? So you can equate that to taxes. Yes, that will play a part. But I think, like I said, the biggest part of this is supply and the fact that there are demands in sectors now, including grocery stores, that wasn't there before. When you hear the economy is doing this bad, when I hear the economy is doing bad, I'm not running to go out for dinner. I'm running to the grocery store because I'm calculating in my head, if I'm going to go spend $150 with booze at a restaurant, I probably got 8 dusty bottles of wine at home, and I can go buy 2 chicken breasts for $12 and buy vegetables, and we got lunch and dinner for the next day. That's how I was raised. I'm different than most people in the country.
Right.
Maybe.
But there's a lot of convenience factor.
Right? Right? Like, I don't know.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to grocery stores. I mean, I try to, I don't know. I think.
How much do you do like Uber Eats or?
Okay, so that's what I was going to bring up. Is my problem is I am not. I still live at home, and I unfortunately don't take enough advantage of that because I'll still go out and buy food.
Right.
I won't even go to a grocery store. I go to Farm Boy, and I'll spend $20 on one meal rather than $20 on
ingredients.
Different things
Yeah.
and ingredients. What I will say though is, my girlfriend goes to a grocery store, spends $190 on groceries, and she feels like she got less than a week's worth of food. That's insanity.
Yeah, it is crazy expensive. Let's throw this back into housing, okay? So the average rent cost is 42% of annual income today. And in 1930, just to flip it back to the Great Depression, it was 16%. So
16% seems just too, I don't know.
That
Too
does
low?
seem,
That's
I
low.
felt like we had room to grow there, and I don't think that it does sound, and I know that people are having a hard time wrapping their mind around these numbers, but I think it is just a matter of getting used to it. I don't think this is going anywhere. I think we need it. We need everything to sort of increase, like you're saying, like it comes, like even at the grocery store, like everything is increasing in value, but somebody is reaping the benefit of that somewhere, and it's all playing into the same circle of opportunity.
Yeah, I think we kind of need it to stabilize, right, guys? Like that's the whole thing.
Stabilize, but Christy's not wrong. It's a fine balance. Like 2% of inflation is typically what a financial planner would budget for in somebody's retirement over 40 years.
We're double right now.
I know. Well, arguably more. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right, I would say.
Well, the published stat is 4%, so that's what we're going to call it. But look at the rising cost of housing.
Yeah.
Like purchasing housing. So that inevitably is going to impact the cost of rent, whether we like it or not.